will call the meeting to order at 7 o'clock. First thing we will do is we will take the roll, and I see that everybody is present except for Matt. So that means there are 5 trustees and we have a quorum. Is there anything under clerk's report? What? I thought I had it on the agenda.
We do. It's there.
Is it there?
It's at the bottom of old business.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then, no.
Okay, we'll go down to the treasurer's report.
You want to do minutes first?
Oh, that's right, present approved, yeah. I need my glasses. Okay, has everybody had a chance to read the minutes of the June meeting?
Yes.
Yes.
Any additions or corrections?
No.
Okay, if there are not, I would ask for a motion to approve the minutes as presented.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes as presented.
Okay, got a motion from Rachel. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second from Chris. Any more comments on the minutes? Okay, if not, I will call for a vote. All in favor of approving the minutes as presented, signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed?
I abstain,
Okay, that
since
is
I
good.
wasn't here.
Yeah, Eddie abstained, he wasn't here. Okay, we already kind of went through the clerk's report. Now we're down to treasurer's report. Okay,
That's on the
got
back
it.
of your
Yeah, we got
last
it.
page here.
We got it. Does anybody have any questions on any line item of the disbursements for June?
Can you give more detail on Moran Mikowski?
I have invoices and it just says training time for 12 hours and 6.5 hours, and that's what that's for.
So 18 and a half hours.
Correct.
Are there any other questions?
Is the PHCA amount for,
That's for the heat, for
Just for
the,
propane.
for the heat.
The disbursement to Gunnison Gravel. Is that for gravel we have now, or is that for a bill from
That
something
is-
in the past?
That's for gravel that we have now.
And where is it located? Do we know?
I know we have piles up on 4th Street where we normally pile it. Is Lisa here?
It doesn't look that way.
Okay. I know there are piles of gravel, and I don't know if they've spread anything on the streets or not.
Yes, she has recently.
Has she?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Because $2,000 would have been a lot of gravel, more than what's in those piles.
It's, yeah.
Some of it may be from last year. I
Okay,
do not have the invoices with me.
okay. Are there any other questions? Go ahead.
what are we doing at the paperclip?
That was the directory.
Okay.
Are there any other questions? If not, I would ask for a motion to approve the disbursements for June.
I'll move to approve the disbursements for June.
I have a motion from Brad. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
I have a second from Eddie. Are there any other comments or questions? Okay, I'll call for a vote. All in favor of approving the disbursements for June, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay, we did that. Next is the mayor's report. And it's kind of come to my attention that the town lawnmower is kind of sitting outside with a torn cover on it. And I'd rather have it inside somewhere. Nobody, I just thought I'd ask, if somebody can come to me later, if they have a place we can keep this thing inside. It was donated, and I don't like it just sitting out there with a torn cover on it. The other, if we don't find a place to put it, the other options would be to modify that shed somehow, that old shed, so we can get it in there, or buy a new one if we decide to. But I don't like to see it just sitting out there with a torn cover on it. So if anybody knows of a place that we can put it, come up to me later and maybe we can talk about it. Another thing, I talked, is Stephanie here?
Yes, sir.
Okay, well, I told you, I talked to him at the welding shop about putting up a handrail on that bottom section of concrete, right at the bottom of these outside steps. In the wintertime, that is really icy, and those first couple steps are hard to find. And they're gonna call me, and they're gonna come up here and look at it in another week or so. And if I can't be there, I may try to find a volunteer who can meet them and just talk with them. But I think it'd be a good idea if we had us a handrail there. And speaking of handrails, Stephanie, I think, had talked to Josiah about doing some painting, but I told Sarah to tell him, I'd like to get these handrails painted, the ones that are starting to get rusty around the outside of the building. I'd like to paint those, and I'd like to see the steps get painted. I want to, make sure that we keep up. Yes?
No, I have talked to Josiah about all those things.
Okay.
It's on his list.
Okay, is
There's
it?
a couple of things ahead of it, but he's gonna do the window sills as well as that down.
Okay. Thank you, Stephanie. I know this is your busy time of year, so I'm trying not to go up there and whine, and, I just try to take care of what I can. Okay, that's all I had under the mayor's report. Anything under town attorney's report?
No report.
Okay. Community, or commissioner reports. Anything under building? Rand here. Okay. Fire department? Probably not. Zoning?
We've got a couple old building permits that we're going to probably meet in August about and
Okay.
ask the holders to give us an update
Okay.
on, so
Permits that were issued a long time ago, you mean?
more than 2 years.
I see. Okay. All right. Okay, thank you. Cemetery?
I'm here, but do you want to defer? I see you put it on the agenda.
Yeah, put it on the agenda. If that's all you've got, we'll just talk about it then.
Sounds good.
Okay, Jara, thank you. Environmental health?
Yes, I'll try to be quick, but I do have some stuff. Is it okay if I sit here, or do I need to stand?
Maybe people could hear better if you stand.
Okay. I'll just, here so everybody.
Yes.
Come on back. Okay, currently, with 4 months remaining in this season, there are 25 OWTO systems remaining to be checked that are due this season. Several of these are scheduled to be inspected this coming week, so I think we have that under control pretty well. On the overdue list, there are 10 that I haven't heard from and 2 more that we're dealing with. From 2015 are 5 of those, from 2014, 3, and 2013, 2. And the other 2 that are older than that they're making good progress. They are compliant, they're complying, everything is going smoothly. Now I have a couple of requests, and so I'm going to stick them in my report. According to the Town of Picken On-Site Wastewater Treatment System Ordinance Number 4, Series 2015, Section 4A, Number 1, quote, Prior to installing, altering, expanding, or repairing an OWTS, the applicant must obtain a permit from the Town of Pitkin Town Sanitarian or Environmental Health Agent, end quote. The process to acquire said permit application is too time-consuming and difficult, as the town sanitarian is frequently very busy. I have recently obtained a copy, but I am suggesting that the Pitkin Town Clerk be responsible for issuing these applications, as she is the one who needs to collect the application fees. They would likely be available in a more timely manner this way. We have had a lot of problems with people trying to get permits that they can't ever run somebody down that's got an application for one. So I'm just saying, clerk would be better suggestion. The other request is the environmental health agent is requesting that the trustees consider another option to help the occupants of Pitkin comply with Section 10D, schedule for inspection and/or pumping. Under 4314A and C, quote, the local board of health may adopt regulations for scheduling and maintenance and cleaning, practices adequate to ensure performance, and/or submission of proof of maintenance and cleaning to the local public health agency by the owner of the system, close quote. So this option I'd like for you to consider is that the environmental health agent write a sample form letter that you could all review, and the attorney and the trustees, to send to the system owners of Pitkin who are due to have their septic inspections the coming season, giving one additional option than we have given before. The option of letting the environmental health agent schedule the inspection for them. The property owner would be informed, one, that this is their inspection year, two, that they could schedule the inspection themselves with a qualified inspector and give them the list of who those are, or three, they may allow the environmental health agent to schedule the inspection for them and send them the bill. And of course, also, the inspector would be responsible to send them the results, but we could coordinate that. They would be informed of A, the time of the inspection in case they would like to be in attendance, and B, be allowed to choose their own inspector or leave it up to the environmental health agent. The communication between the property owners and the agent can be facilitated by phone, email, or texting. It has been working very well that way. Waiting for those who are a year or more delinquent with their inspections is not as effective as this above proposed added option for them. Several claim that they never even received the notice letters. Don't know how to deal with that. It may be that in years to come, most property owners would enjoy having this responsibility handled by someone else, and it would become the norm instead of just another option. It would be interesting to see if this improves compliance. It doesn't seem to have any negative implications. So those are my requests, and I just want to submit this to the clerk, and y'all can mull it over whenever.
I guess the only
Thank you.
thing that I would like to add, and I don't know what's in place for this, but if somebody is doing a repair, shouldn't an engineer look at this?
Our ordinance says that they may apply for a permit for repair. It does not
But
say they
if
have
they
to have an
just
engineer.
if they just come to the clerk and get a permit, she's not an engineer.
No, the application.
Okay,
She issues the application and
Okay.
takes the application fee, which is
Okay.
$23. $3
But-
goes to the clerk and $20 to the state.
but is there anything in there about an engineer looking at repairs?
I can read you the,
Okay, well,
or you had
Go
it?
ahead.
No, go ahead, Chris. He's got it.
On page 24 of Regulation 43, under variances for repair of failing systems, it says for the repair or upgrade to an approved existing system where the existing system does not meet required separation distances. Well, several things that don't, I'm sorry, I stopped reading. And where the size of the lot precludes adherence to the required distances, A variance to the separation distances may be requested. The repairs or upgrades shall be no closer to features requiring setbacks than the existing facilities. Variances requesting setbacks no closer than existing setbacks do not have to provide technical justification from a professional engineer or professional geologist.
Yeah,
I know
Susan?
you're reading the state's resolution 43. You know, we have an ordinance that was adopting that ordinance, the town's ordinance, number 4 of series 2015. And on page 2 of it, it specifically states that, okay, the permit application, for example, must include information identified in section 43(4)(b)(3) of regulation 43. Documentation must also include a licensed Colorado engineer specification plan.
For what?
Well, that's not an application for a repair, is it?
I'm not sure, I haven't gotten to that part yet, but
Chris,
for sure.
Excuse me.
Go ahead.
What page were you on?
24.
That is under,
That's under variances.
under variance procedures.
Yes.
I don't think we're given variances.
I believe for a standard repair, it doesn't have to be engineered. I mean, we can do some research on that and make
Yeah.
sure, but I believe for a standard repair, if it's not a commercial or there's several different types listed in there.
I
I don't
just
believe, as
thought-
long as it's for residential and it's a repair and it's not requiring a variance or anything, I don't think it has to have an
But I
engineer.
didn't know if, I thought.
But
it
I
would
don't
be-
know, the town's,
Yes.
the town
Well,
has some
we've just,
specific.
We've just adopted the state's statute 43, so we're going by that. If it's not in there, I guess we don't require it. But I just thought if somebody's digging up a septic and working on it, that maybe a qualified person should take a look at it.
The inspection, there should be an inspection, and that's
Okay.
covered in there.
Is
The
it?
inspection should be done by someone that's certified.
Okay.
Yes, that doesn't mean an engineer. That just
Okay.
means somebody that's certified to do the
Well,
inspection.
somebody would look at it. you know.
Right.
Okay, I guess is that all? Oh,
Gayla also mentioned something about have an inspector or have their own inspector. And
No, I choose who they want.
choose.
Yeah, either they
Yeah.
choose someone that is on the list as qualified, or
Or
Let me
a qualified.
pick one.
It would
Right,
have to be a qualified.
right, that's
And
Yes.
also,
In there.
you read that the approved septics, not all the septics might not, some of the septics might not be approved. But I realize you were reading from variances, so.
Well, what I was addressing was older systems that may not meet current setback regulations. If there's a system that's not in compliance right now, they need to make repairs, you can't, my interpretation of this is you can't require them to put a whole new system in.
Well, that
That they can go
depends,
back.
Chris.
Pardon?
If you're doing an expansion or a remodel.
No, I'm just talking about a repair.
I know,
Somebody
but I'm
has a
trying to
cracked
be
tank
clear.
or something like that.
I'm just trying to be really clear, though, that if it's an
Okay.
expansion of the existing
Right.
system, there has to be.
okay, is that everything under
that's my report.
environmental health? Okay, thank you, yes.
Gayla, how many septics do we have in town?
I have about 205 in the computer, but they're not all septic. Some are holding tanks, and holding tanks aren't covered by much. I don't think they're,
Okay, so roughly 200, and we got 10 out of 200, which is 5%
that are
delinquent.
from previous years.
Okay.
Okay. We will go to PHCA. Candy? Oh, Gary's
Mr.
gonna do
Mayor,
it?
I'm Gary Winters, president of PHCA, and I apologize to Candy. She was listed, and I was caught off guard that there was
Okay.
names beside the agencies, so I
That's
will,
okay.
I'll do this one and maybe the next one, and then she can do the other 10. So, but I apologize, Candy. And Gayla, changes your numbers by 3.
Thank you.
First of all, I'd like to express our appreciation for the town council allowing us to use this building for our annual melodrama. This is just fits so well, and it's such a great thing, and we appreciate, and I hope we thank you often enough and strongly enough so that you know that we mean it. The second thing I want to talk about is we've always had an issue in our community of public toilets. And now we have some porta potties sitting around, but at our meeting yesterday, we decided that we would open the 2 better toilets that are at the back of the museum and make them open to the public on a trial basis and to see if that works. We hope it works, and a couple of us are going to see how much cleaning will need to be done, but I think that Chris needs to send somebody over that will appreciate a working flushable toilet with a place to wash your hands. So we want to do that for the community. The third thing I would report on is that we brought in a large roll-off dumpster, hoping that 100% of the refuse in Pitkin could be put in that dumpster, and that everybody would put just the right things in there. We were 100% wrong. It filled up in about 1 day, and some things went in there that we wished hadn't gone in there. But I think that it was very clearly demonstrated that there is a need for something like this to happen on a regular basis, and I'm authorized to propose to the town council that we do 1 more dumpster very soon, and the PHCA would be happy to match the town of Pitkin's funds. That would run between $300 and $400 for a match, and we would put up the exact same amount if the town would be willing. We think that would be a good service for the citizens of Pitkin, and so we're happy to jump in and do our share. And hopefully you might find those funds available as well. And so if you have questions, Mr. Mayor, I'd like to answer them.
If we do this again, if we can do this, would it be possibly signed better so things that you would rather not have in there are not in there?
We learned a lot about this experience.
Okay.
And I've talked to the fire department, I've talked to Rand. We would like to have an alternative for wood. And he and I have talked about a place where we could pile wood so that in the winter when there's snow on the ground, you could have a bonfire. And we've done that in Pitkin before, and it's turned into a wonderful wiener roast. And we would like for you to have a wonderful wiener roast about January 14th. But, we need to keep the wood out, and we had great participation by people that wanted tires. They did pay us for the tires. We can put tires in, but they cost extra. There's some mattresses that I have been avoiding for a few weeks in my neighborhood, and those cost extra as well. We could do better signage, I would hope, and we gave this a lot of discussion, and we learned a lot the first time, and we would do a better job the second time. But some folks will not probably respect the signage, and will put things in anyway.
Okay. Yes.
Were there any donations collected by people that were excited about the dumpster? Was that a possibility? Could we offset some costs by donations from people that use the dumpster?
We did collect money for the tires, and as far as I know, all the tires were collected for. Unless they come back and tell us there were more tires deeper in the pile. I put the tires in myself, so I counted those. But we talked about that. It'd be wonderful if, we can have, somebody that, a couple of people drove up with large trailers full of material. If they could realize that, don't pay as much as it would have cost them to go to the county dump, but, you give me $300 or $400, that would be nice. But, Rachel, that's a great idea, and we could put in the signage, donations accepted.
Thank you.
Okay. Cindy?
Gary, I know Gunnison has a day where you can take in electronics. Was your dumpster allowing electronics?
Well, let me say no, but electronics were observed to be dumped.
In there.
So
But-
I did
but
not
no
know about it,
electronics.
and the company didn't know until they dumped it probably. I know at least one microwave, and somebody left a deep freeze, which we'll have to pay extra for.
Or that was a no-no to put.
Yeah, anything with Freon in it
Yeah.
is very, very, very controlled in how you
Yes,
do
you
it.
can't just dump them.
Well, anyway, they did. I don't know who, but I haven't looked today to see whether it's gone, but they said they would take it. But when we get the bill, it will be, there'll be a charge for that as well.
Okay. I'd like to ask Eddie.
Gunnison County was doing an electric recycling program. I don't know if they've stopped or not, but they used to do a collection once a year.
Right,
That's
So-
what you just said.
in the paper.
If they're still doing it, maybe we should, in addition to your signage, is to put a sign up saying electrical components can be recycled through Gunnison County, etc.
And we're working on metal as well. We would like to not get metal in there, and I climbed in myself and took some of the metal out. We're struggling a little bit. Donovan Moss has had a double tragedy in his family, and I haven't made a connection with him, and Candy is aware of some other folks in the valley that might help us with a metal collection. But if we could keep wood out and metal out, we would have, and better signage, we would have a better experience next time.
Okay. I guess I'd like to ask Rand?
Donovan will take that freezer probably, because he takes all of it from the dump.
Okay. Okay.
I haven't been able to get hold of Donovan.
It can be hard right now.
Yeah, I tried yesterday and he still didn't say so.
Okay, does anybody on the town council have any comments? I mean, if we don't have this on the agenda to vote on it, can we do anything about authorizing this money if we want to, or? Because if we wait till the next town meeting, we can do that, but.
I'd say we should probably wait and have it on the
Yeah.
agenda.
I think that most people will probably still be here, and I don't think it'll be too late. I'll put it on the agenda for next month.
August 9th.
I appreciate that, Mr. Mayor,
Okay.
and we will wait and try to do something in August if we can reach terms on the finances. Thank you.
Okay,
Yeah, the next meeting will be the 9th. I don't see why we couldn't have it set up where it shows up on the 11th or 12th.
yeah, well, people will still be here. Candy?
In addition to Gary's report, I'd like to remind everybody that the melodrama is July 28th, 29th, 30th, and the 31st. There will be 3 evening performances, and the Sunday performance will be a matinee. And advanced tickets are now on sale at the Silver Plume, or you can get them at the door that night if we haven't sold out.
Okay,
There are 120 tickets per night, and we've already sold a lot for Friday and Saturday.
okay,
Tickets are $10 for adults, $5 for children, and if the child can sit in your lap, they're free.
okay. Is there a senior price?
You don't qualify.
I just thought that I would ask. Okay, thank you. Town hall?
Sir, I had talked to Josiah about stripping and repainting the inside window sills here in the town hall. He does have a couple other jobs first, and then he's gonna come around to do those, as well as downstairs, the stairs and the handrails. I'm excited to talk to someone hopefully about getting handrails down there on the tripping hazard. And also, I came in today to sweep and vacuum, and it was a real quick trip in and out. And I went downstairs where the downstairs meeting room is, and I had a Swiffer wet jet, since we don't have running water here. It's the easiest way to mop floors. I had that and some refills and some extra pads, some Swiffer dusting things, and they are no longer in that room. So if they have been moved or used up here and I just didn't see them in my rush here, just
I think they're in the other room.
on the other side.
Yeah, I'm
Okay.
pretty sure I've seen them in
Good,
there.
I thought I could get that answer here. That's it.
Okay,
Thank you.
and that of course is a different key
Yes.
to get in there. Okay, Stephanie, thank you. Ditches?
Had a little bit of a clogged culvert right below the train depot.
Yeah.
And finally got that remedied today. I
Okay.
had to find something long enough that could clear the grass out of there.
Okay.
I've noticed, kind of went around town today, a lot of the culverts in town have gravel in them to the effect of like 50% of the culvert. And I don't know how to really fix it or what that falls under, because I'm sure it's not just the irrigation ditches. There's probably not necessarily where the irrigation runs. I mean, when we get water and stuff,
Yeah.
we probably wash them in. So I just don't know about clearing those out. How to even go about getting gravel out.
Gravel tends to accumulate. In years past, the fire department has tried to blow them out, and I don't know how successful it was.
Yeah.
Yes.
Might see about trying to get a intergovernmental agreement with the city of Gunnison
Yeah.
to bring their jetback truck up.
Oh, okay.
They can
Okay.
clean them out. They do that with Lake City, I know.
Okay.
Take their jetback down there, so
Okay.
that's a possibility.
Okay. We could talk to them. Anything else?
It took a while to get all that grass. I mean, it's just as people cut yards and stuff, and a lot of the culverts, the ends are kind of collapsed on them. Some people driving over them, and that just traps grass like crazy. This one was like right in the middle of the culvert on, was that 5th or 6th Street? I can't remember. And what seemed to free it up was sit there and shovel gravel over and over
Yeah.
until, and it finally, this huge wad of grass came out. So I mean,
Okay.
it's fixed, but kind of would like to figure out a solution to getting all the gravel out of the culverts. I mean, I know it's just gonna need regular maintenance, but
Well-
it definitely cuts down how much water can flow through those.
I've got a note written, and we'll check with them and see what they say.
Okay.
Streets, Parks and Rec.
Sure, thank you. We have the playground all safe and ready to go. We tightened bolts. That was an adventure. Replaced a few that needed to be replaced, so everything is great there. My next project is looking into some trash bins, possibly some bear-proof bins. I've been thinking about. We pick up trash every time we go. It's not a big deal. It's not much trash at all, but I thought it'd be great to have very obvious, nice trash bins there. So I'll look into that. Yeah.
There's trash can run across the alley and the kids just don't use it. Waste of time.
Well, I was thinking maybe smaller,
Happy to
easier
play
ones
with,
that kids
running
could,
down the
yeah,
fireman.
and maybe recycle too. I'll see how much money they cost. I'm not quite sure. That's one thing I'm looking at. I was curious as to where the porta potties came from because those have been fantastic, and I've been thinking about it. Was that do you know who?
The town provided the porta.
Yeah,
The town did. That's
the town
fantastic. Is that for the summer? Because I was
At least through Pitkin days.
Mhm.
Yes.
Fantastic.
Yes.
That was one thing I had thought about, was maybe starting like mid-June through mid-August, having some toilets there. So those poor trees get a little break, I think.
Yes.
And the silver plume gets a little break too. But that's one thing, so maybe I can speak with the town next year as that season.
Yeah, I kind of took it, I just kind of took that on. We didn't have time to vote on it. We'd have had to call a special meeting And I just told Sarah to just go ahead and get them, because any town that can't even supply that, when we have that many visitors here, I just didn't think it was a very good idea. You know, with as many visitors, you know, and people that don't have a place, it was just something that just seemed right. So.
Yeah, it's fantastic, so thank
Okay.
you so much. It's been fantastic, and it's wonderful that the museum might open up restrooms as well too. I think that'll be wonderful, just to encourage
Okay.
more people to come and enjoy there. And then my last thing is I'm still looking into grants. I'm definitely looking at the GoCo grant primarily for looking into a new playground. I know the playground we had was beautiful, but as we've done repairs, it's definitely getting a little older. It might be fun to do something new. So Sarah and I have been talking about options that we have there, and really a huge thank you to the Silver Plume store. Gave us another very generous donation of $250. So thanks Chris and Candy for that. Toward a new playground as well too. So thank you guys. We'll start fundraising as soon as we get it figured out.
Okay, Sarah, thank you.
Thank you.
I guess I'd like to back up to the beginning, since I saw Rand come in, and ask if there's any report from the building inspector.
Nope.
Okay, anything from the fire department?
No, our fundraiser didn't go real good.
Okay.
Served a lot of food, but I don't know if it was the fire, the rain, what, but we kind of thought maybe 50% of attendance is normal.
Okay, it could have been the weather.
The weather and that fire was that week before.
Yeah.
I think it scared a lot of
Okay.
people away.
Okay.
As the secretary of the fire department and the treasurer, we made more than we made last year.
Okay.
So it wasn't that.
It wasn't a waste of time. Oh, okay, Gwen. Okay, thank you. Okay, we will go down to public comments to the town council, and I had something from Patrice, wherever she may be.
Yes. This is a reminder, as you're taking care of your yard, the chemicals that you might put on your yard can be washed into the town ditches. And what may be thrown into the ditches also mixed in. We have had people who have put all their dog waste into ditches in front of their house, and they did it consistently. Remember, children do play in the waterway. There is a new warning now on Roundup, which is a chemical that people use in their yard. It's even stronger than it used to be last year. This is a new recipe that they have. So think about it. Think about what goes into these ditches. Great place to play, but what washes in from rain or your own watering, please be careful about that. That's all.
Okay, thank you. Were you gonna do yours now? Oh, okay, Rachel wanted to present something.
At the request of a friend, I've prepared a statement. According to the local government handbook, one of the duties of a trustee is to enact measures to preserve and protect the safety, health, and welfare of the community. The duties of a trustee in a small town can bring on various other kinds of scrutiny, as many times a trustee can serve the community in multiple ways. At times, these points of service can be in conflict. It is the duty of the town of Pitkin trustees to be diligent and conscientious when navigating the appearance of impropriety. The town council must be thorough in its research and application of Colorado constitutional and statutory law in both the measures they enact, example are ordinances and resolutions, and the way in which they govern, such as their ethics practices, their conflicts of interests, their codes of conduct, etc. When the application of these laws is not clear, it's the duty of the trustees to seek further counsel. The Colorado Ethics Committee, the Colorado Municipal League, and the town attorney are available and serve to provide further clarity on these difficult issues. One of the difficult issues that clearly faces this council is the matter of conflict of interest when family is involved. I myself am related to both the newly appointed environmental health clerk and newly hired town clerk. The record will show that at the appointment of these women to their respective positions, I abstained from voting. Colorado revised statutes regarding conflicts of interest make clear the ethical violation of using one's position of power to show favoritism or advance the position of a family member. This is typically referred to as nepotism. The statute does not classify familiar relation alone as a conflict of interest. And for those that have been concerned over my decision to vote that the town, 1, reimburse the environmental health agent for the computer, 2, vote that Tom Gibb be allowed to put dirt in the unplotted alley, and 3, any future agenda item of this nature. I have been assured by the Colorado Municipal League and Audrey, the law clerk there, that these votes are not in conflict of interest and are fully within my right in pursuit of the health, safety, and welfare of this community. It is my desire that this board operate above reproach, be proactive in avoiding the appearance of impropriety, and diligent in its pursuit of creating policies that meet the needs of this community. It is also my desire that this community hold the town council accountable for our actions, and I welcome any contact from citizens who wish to voice their concerns. Thank you for electing me to serve.
Okay, thank you. Yes.
May I
Yes.
ask Rachel a question? Are you still managing properties in town?
This is not the time, I think, to discuss.
It's just a question.
What is
It's not
the,
improper. It's not improper.
Stop bragging about her ethics.
well, that
Here's
has
how
not,
public comment works. You get the opportunity to make a comment. It's not a give and take. It's not a question and answer period. And if you want to make a public comment, please do. To that extent, your comment is, I would like to know the following. She doesn't have any duty to respond. Additional comments start to begin to flavor of snarky and inappropriate. So if you wish to make a comment, knock yourselves out. If you don't, then let's move on.
okay, and in this case, we are going to move on. I don't think there were any other, I kind of forgot, but nobody else contacted me. Okay, we'll go down to old business, discuss and vote on clerk treasurer compensation. I think we were waiting on the ordinance. Jim, did you happen to get the ordinance?
What ordinance?
Didn't that have to be done by ordinance?
It is.
Which thing?
I emailed that to you the morning that you met with Steve.
Yeah,
Where are we on this agenda?
right here.
Oh, I apologize. I do not have, as you may well know, Sarah, I've had a little bit on my plate, so
Okay.
I'll have the ordinance with regards to the compensation at the
And-
next meeting. I apologize, Mr. Mayor.
And any kind of a raise will be retroactive, so,
Fair enough. Thanks,
Yes.
Sarah. Sorry.
okay. Discuss and vote of records retention ordinance.
There was a question at the last meeting. I believe it was Brad who wanted to know if the manual that is put forth by the state would require for the town of Pitkin to file anything with the state, and the answer is no. We would keep everything here. We don't have to give them or show them anything. Basically, the process for using the manual is we have to fill out a request saying, can we please use this manual? They sign it, they put us on the list. If we want to be a little more formal, we can adopt the manual by resolution, but that's also not required.
Okay.
So I didn't know what you wanted. I just saw it on the agenda, so I whipped up a little something
Okay.
that the good
That-
folks at
yeah.
South Fork use.
That would work.
And I guess if we want to adopt this, this will have to probably be read?
Yeah,
Well, we can
Okay.
post it for, oh,
it's a resolution, but
Yes.
at the very least, it needs to be read in its entirety.
Okay. Sarah, would you like to do the honors?
I will read.
Okay.
Resolution to amend the town of Pitkin budget to, is this, no. Is this the right one? I think the title is a typo.
Oh, yeah.
That's
easy.
okay. It's a typo. Resolution adopting the Colorado Municipal Records Retention Schedule.
Yes, the
Yes.
top thing goes.
Okay.
We'll just start there. Whereas the town of Pitkin, Colorado recognizes the need for a comprehensive records retention schedule for the destruction of non-permanent municipal records and the retention of municipal records of enduring and historical value. And whereas the Colorado State Archives offers the model municipal records retention schedule for statewide use by Colorado municipalities and is strongly encouraging all Colorado municipalities to adopt said schedule. And whereas adoption of the municipal records retention schedule and its subsequent revisions and amendments will benefit the town of Pitkin, its residents and its taxpayers by providing appropriate and legal minimum retention periods for its municipal records. Now therefore be it resolved by the Board of Trustees to the town of Pitkin, Colorado, that the Colorado Municipal Records Retention Schedule approved by the Colorado State Archives is hereby adopted by reference along with its subsequent revisions and amendments, and that the town clerk, as the custodian of all papers, documents, and records pertaining to the town, will obtain the required authorization from the Colorado State Archives to follow said schedule. Introduced, read, and adopted this 12th day of July, 2016.
Okay. I guess we can do a motion and a second to open up the comments on this. Yes.
I make a motion to adopt the resolution adopting the Colorado Municipal Records Retention Schedule.
Okay, I have
as read.
motion from Chris. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, I have a second from Eddie. Okay. What does everybody think about this? It looks like, it looks pretty cut and dried to me.
I think it's a great idea considering the condition the room's in down there.
Yes, it's kind of a shambles, really.
I have one comment.
Yes.
Would it be possible to put the website or the direct location of the state archives on here, so as people are reading this, they have a direct reference to it if they wanted to look it up? I know ordinances or resolutions that have specific references are very valuable because you can jump from one source of information to the other instead of having to find it on your own.
Okay. Where would you make that change?
I don't know, I have not actually
Okay.
seen the Colorado or the state archives, the municipal records, but if it was available at a particular website or.
Could we post the link?
What
Like on the-
happens if the link changes?
Right,
Yeah,
that was
that's true, that's true.
And at some level, I mean, I think your point is great. Having an embedded link would just be like, dink.
Or.
But by the same token, if they change it, then you've got an embedded bad link.
True.
And Sarah made a suggestion, I think.
Well, I was gonna say what we could potentially do is put the link to that manual on the two websites that have government documents for Pitkin and just have it there.
Okay.
That may be an option.
Okay, are there any other comments on this? Okay, we've got.
Wait a minute.
Brad.
Sarah, what does the schedule say? Does it say you have to keep the record 7 years or?
It depends on what the document is.
Yeah.
It varies. I don't have all that information memorized yet.
It
Soon,
details
but-
for what, how long.
Right, and what is
or
also
what type of
considered a
record.
non-record.
Okay.
Okay, any other comments? Okay, I've got a motion and I've got a second. All in favor of adopting the Colorado Municipal Records Retention Schedule, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, we did that. Okay, and discuss on this survey of short-term rentals. I think we ought to table that because that was Matt's thing and he's not here. So I think we'll wait till he comes back. And the next thing, let's see, is, okay, discuss and vote on adding complaint procedure to pitkincolorado.com. Rachel, I believe that was yours.
The motion or the agenda item is written, was changed last month, to discuss and vote on adopting a complaint procedure. We don't have one currently. and I had submitted one to the board, so I make a motion that we adopt a complaint procedure for Pitkin Colorado.
Okay, does this like pertain to, say, the nuisance ordinance, or?
Steve, she just made.
Because I did,
Motion.
what
She
was
just
that?
made a motion.
We need a second.
Oh, I need a second.
I'll second it.
Okay, we got a motion and we got a second, sorry.
Okay.
Okay, does this pertain to the nuisance schedule, or nuisance ordinance?
If you took the time to look at the document that I sent last week, it has a few different pages with it. The first is a quick snapshot of the language in our current nuisance ordinance about how those violations would be handled. And it also has the ability for someone to bring a complaint against the code of conduct of a trustee. And the complaint form is one page. It was emailed to you. And the second page was for the user to follow the directions and understand the process.
Well, I did read it, and I don't think I would accept an anonymous complaint.
That's why we're...
You kind of mentioned that, you mentioned that, because I don't want any of this neighbor against neighbor stuff. And I brought this up several times, the nuisance ordinance needs to be gone over.
Yes.
I don't know, frankly, I don't care one hoot if somebody's got a car in their yard with no license plate on it. I couldn't care less. It doesn't hurt me at all. And I don't care how tall their grass is. And I don't want to open up the door to petty complaints. And when you get down to it, just about every property in town, except for maybe Glenn's, is going to be in violation of some way. Susie?
Well, my brother is laid up and he couldn't come to the meeting, but I did talk to him by phone, and he was a city manager and a county manager and all that. He said he thought it was very important, especially in a small town like this, to have an anonymous way of complaining. One person could know, for example, you would know who turned it in, but that information shouldn't be released at all or spoken about, because with divisiveness going on already, when somebody complains and says, I, Susie Metzler, well then whoever doesn't like the way I think right now is going to be not liking that, whole complaint idea. It's just adds more trouble to have it not be anonymous in a town this size, where there's so much, everything going on,
Well,
all the time.
You see, somebody say one of your neighbors may not like you, but they don't have the guts to go tell you, so they're going to file an anonymous complaint.
Well, at least their complaint gets handled.
And then you see,
my neighbors
whatever
are
they
fine.
complain about you for, half this room is also in violation of it. So I could go to you and ask you to do something about it, but I can't force you, because half the town will be in violation also.
Okay, but let's say they complain about something and say their name, and there's a whole bunch of other people in town too that are doing the same thing, whatever I'm doing wrong.
Yeah.
What's the difference?
Well, there's a lot of people, if they've got to go on public record, there's a lot of people who won't do it.
Right,
Only
so
if
then
they
you don't
can-
have to handle as many complaints, but it
That's-
seems like it should be a way to do it
Well,
anonymous.
what does the board think of this?
Mr. Mayor, if I can comment?
Yes.
There's always a privilege of power in anonymity. But in this context, I think the manner in which Susie recommended it, that it's not anonymous to the person to whom it is delivered, but anonymous thereafter, does two things. One, it reasonably protects the town from dealing with folks from other parts of the valley, up the properties, or Ohio Creek, or Ohio City, making beefs where maybe it's not appropriate. But at the same time, it gives that person, whoever it is within this community, the ability to be heard and there's got to be something said for that. The flip side of that is when you've got volunteer folks running the government, it becomes a challenge to create that type of a protocol to respond. So those are
Okay.
my comments.
Okay, thank you. What does the board think? Any comments from the board?
As it was written on the proposal, the process for submitting an anonymous complaint would be scrutinized by its validity and its application, and the discretion of the clerk then would submit that anonymous complaint or not to the mayor, depending on
Okay.
how. And that's how, in that proposal, that's how the anonymous complaints would be handled. And there is a statement on that sheet of instructions that anonymous complaints create the problem of not being able to address your concern efficiently because you don't know who's giving it. But I think part of the issue that Pitkin is facing is the line between what is within its jurisdiction.
Mhm.
For example, a complaint against an ordinance violation or a nuisance violation would be completely acceptable to be received and responded to by the council. A civil complaint of that kind of nature and other of those complaints are not something that the town of Pitkin has jurisdiction to respond to. And so adopting a complaint procedure outlines those very clearly and might create less of a workload than we have been experiencing because it's offering a very obvious and followable path to resolution. Did anyone else have any thoughts on changes or their thoughts in general on the documents that were sent?
Yeah, I think you need to have some way of submitting it anonymously because there are, there are going to be people that, well, I don't want, I mean, you don't want to get into a situation where it's all around town, well, oh, so-and-so has submitted this complaint, and then there's like a retaliatory behavior, whether it's legal or not. It does give some people some confidence that, so I think it's necessary.
Yes.
I think maybe we should ask Sarah to do a little survey of some similar municipalities and see how they address nuisance complaints.
What does everybody think?
I looked very diligently for other
Yeah.
nuisance processes from
Yeah.
other towns. And larger towns, their police force handles criminal complaints. And for civil complaints, they request that the individual consult an attorney for advice. And in this case, our police force would be our enforcement officer or our secondary appointed enforcement officer, which at this time we do not have. But by and large, it was difficult to find the form. I had to create it. There's not, the only reference to processes of complaint are, the first one is found in the Code of Conduct, which is the second issue on this item. It's hand in hand with the complaint. If you had a chance to see it, I changed it to match Pitkin. The only thing I changed was the town here. If you all had a chance to read this, it lines out a much clearer picture of what our what the community's expectations of their council should be, both in public meetings with each other, in private encounters, in conduct with the public, conduct with the media, conduct with other boards and commissions, and the sanctions section, which goes hand in hand with any individual that might have a complaint against the conduct of a trustee. So both of those were on the form. It was, if you got to see the form, it was check here
Yes.
for a complaint against an ordinance, and then check here for a complaint against a conduct of a trustee.
Well, I thought the form was, I thought it was very good. I just hope it doesn't encourage frivolous complaints.
Did anybody have any comments on this?
What was the source of the code of conduct?
The Colorado Municipal League sent me examples of 4 or 5 towns that have adopted this code of conduct.
Which towns were they?
There was the town of Nederland, the town of Estes Park, the town of, I'm just gonna be grasping at straws. I can get them, I can forward them all to you. But it was the recommended code of conduct by the Colorado Municipal League and the most concise version. Many towns have codes of conduct. It's common procedure and they are all extremely similar.
Okay. Are there any other comments? If not, we'll go ahead and take a vote.
Well, I think we need to have, I think an important part kind of goes hand in hand with the anonymous complaints. You need to have some sort of gatekeeper, whether it's town clerk or what, because like I said, I mean, that's the biggest concern is, you know, if they're anonymous, you know, just because I don't like Rachel's, you know, I may not like blonde hair. So, you know, I mean, how do you weed those kind of complaints out when it's really just a, you know, I mean,
Well-
so I think there needs to be a gatekeeper, but I think it also needs to have an option for anonymous complaint. And
Well,
it's just,
I guess what it boils down to is the complaints will all come to me, is the way I see it, because I'm the enforcement officer. So,
Mr. Mayor?
yes,
To create proper processes, the complaint procedure, the way that I would see it would be that the form would be available online and would be submitted to the clerk to then pass on to you,
yes.
so that it is in the official record. And if you looked at the information page to accompany the complaint form, part of the procedures there for the individuals that are wishing to file this complaint, it states on there specifically that the complaint needs to be within our jurisdiction to act upon, and if not, what you should do then. So for example, it is not within our jurisdiction to follow up on a complaint about hair color, and that's where it would die.
With respect, I would submit, and this isn't a reflection upon you at all, Mr. Mayor.
Yes.
If you're gonna do something like that, it can't go to one person. Although you have, the concept of a gatekeeper is a great concept. Absolute power absolutely corrupts. And this isn't, again, a reflection upon you, Mr. Mayor. It's just that no one person can serve in that capacity from my perspective. At the very least, it should go to either the mayor and the mayor pro tem or to the entire board.
Yes.
Okay.
So correction to what I said. The clerk would then distribute it so that we're not emailing each other. The clerk would distribute it to the trustees, and the matter would be taken up with the enforcement officer.
Okay. Yes.
Yeah. Well, I was just curious, since none of us have seen this, and this is a procedure, could you either read or tell us what is the procedure after a complaint is received?
When we post it,
Well, it goes to the town clerk. After the complaint is posted, it would, the town clerk would get it and then pass it to the enforcement officer, as I understand it.
I have a question for the attorney. If we adopt this procedure, is it a resolution?
Sure sounds like it, sure feels like it.
Yeah. The code of conduct, is it also a resolution or is that an ordinance?
Again, it feels like a resolution.
So the question I had was, is if somebody sends something in anonymously, how do you respond to them?
You don't.
You don't.
You don't.
If they want a response, they gotta give their name.
Okay.
To answer Mr. Reed's question, if we adopt by resolution, do we post this for the public? And then let them weigh in next meeting?
I would certainly encourage it.
As opposed to reading it now?
That would be a lot better.
I think it's good. It's good to have kind of a rough draft to work off of and have discussion. But I would say definitely all this stuff needs to be posted just so people can weigh in. And I mean, I'm sure there's stuff out there that we haven't thought of. So
Okay.
I would like to have some public comment on it.
And I'd like to have a little more time to read
Yeah.
it,
Okay.
Wonderful.
a couple times.
Okay, then I've got a motion and I've got a second, but this vote will be to publish only. And we will take it up, again.
Are you gonna publish
I-
it, Mr. Mayor? or
I mean, well, post it, I guess.
Post it.
Post it. And make sure that everybody has a chance to read it.
I move to amend my motion.
Yes?
Do we need a second?
What do you want to amend it
To
to?
amend, oh, yes, sorry. I move to amend my motion that, the amended motion is that the town of Pitkin posts the proposed complaint procedure to be reviewed at the next council meeting.
I'll second the motion.
Okay, I've got a motion and I've got a second to post this resolution for public comment. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay. We'll take that up at the August meeting, after people have had a chance to read it. Okay, discuss and vote on contract for Jim Starr as municipal judge. Do we have that contract?
Thank you.
Yeah, I didn't fill in the compensation terms.
Okay.
I called Jim and there was no answer, so the compensation in 5.1.1 is blank and his contact information is blank.
Well, if, I'd have to go home to look at my notes, but as for compensation, what I believe he told me was pretty reasonable, $100 a year as a retainer and $300 for each court. So that was what he told me. Okay, I guess I would need a motion and a second, so.
I'm gonna make a motion to table this till the town councils have time to read this.
Well, I was gonna make a motion and a second to talk about it, and, yeah, but if we want to table it, then we can do that
I don't
too.
think it's fair to everybody sitting here for us to sit here and thumb through all the pages and try to analyze everything.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right.
So
Okay, so I've
I'm
got
making a
a,
motion to table this for further discussion in
Okay.
August.
Second.
Okay, I got a motion and a second to table this so everybody has a chance to read it. Any comments on that? Okay, all in favor of tabling this till the August meeting, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Discuss and vote on buying a computer for the town clerk.
Can I say something about that?
Sure you can.
Because I'm on payroll, the request is actually that the town provide a computer for itself, not for me. I will be
Yes.
primarily using it, but it will be the town's computer, not the town clerk computer.
If for some reason you gave up the job, it would come, the computer would still be the town's.
It's the town's computer.
That's what I want to make clear.
Yes, that is exactly what it is.
Okay. Susie?
I just wondered if maybe the computer Gayla got could be shared, because.
I don't think so.
Well, the reason I say that is that during the summer, Gayla will have a lot of entries, now and then to make to her software. But then for the rest of the year until she does the letter, she's not really gonna have any new reports from like October till the next May. And there will be the part of doing the letters to remind people that they have to do their inspection. But it seems like to have a second computer, that the town has never owned two
Sure you can.
computers.
Yeah.
Well, as the clerk and the treasurer, I am on the computer at least a dozen times a day. And so that would be really difficult for me to have to hunt down Gayla, make sure she's not using the computer, get the computer. And furthermore, in order to run QuickBooks, the computer had to have certain specifications. Her computer does not have the capability to run QuickBooks.
Okay, and the other thought was that initially Gayla told me she only had an Apple, and I told her, well, you can buy Parallel software, it's called Parallels, that can go on an Apple, and then you can run a PC program. But if that one is not gonna work for what you have to do QuickBooks, it's not, there's not a valid point anymore.
Yeah, I think, so, yes, Chris.
I'll make a motion that the town purchase a new computer for use by the town clerk for town business.
Okay, I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Can I say
Okay.
something real quick?
Sure.
This computer right here was purchased about 2 months ago. It has all the town's documents and programs on it.
Mhm.
So if the town would like, I purchased this computer at the time that I thought I was going to be a contract employee.
Okay,
But
and
since I-
there's, and it's not used for your
It
personal
has
use?
absolutely not been used for anything except for town
Okay.
business.
I just wanted to be sure and specify that. I just wanted you to be sure and say that.
Yes,
Okay.
this is town business only.
Did you want to say something, Brad?
I'd like Jim to comment about her employment status, if he would. We have historically had contract.
Historically, you've had contracts. There will be some payroll issues with regards to not having a contract employee, i.e. an independent contractor. But with that being said, kind of the crux of the biscuit with an independent contractor is that person has their own life. Jim Starr, for example, up until recently probably had an advertisement in the phone book. Did stuff outside of the town of Pitkin on that basis, whereas my understanding is Ms. Gibb does not have a phone book advertisement offering for clerical services and otherwise run a business. I think she's employed by the town of Pitkin.
Okay.
Can I say something too? I actually looked into that quite a bit, and that's correct. I would not qualify to be an independent contractor. I've already taken the steps to set up with the Colorado Department of Revenue for us to pay taxes that are required. So I'm payroll now.
Okay.
So basically, it's mandated to be this way.
It's
correct?
mandated, unless we want to make it
Not so much mandated. There are some potential taxation implications if you don't pay somebody as an employee when they're actually an employee. So there's some potential sanctions out there. But I think it's fairly common not to treat folks in Ms. Gibbs' position as employees just because logistically it's a heck of a lot easier.
Okay, any more?
I guess I should move to amend the previous motion
Okay, how do you want to amend
to
it?
reimburse Sarah Gibb for the computer she already owns,
Okay,
become the town property for her to do business on as town clerk.
okay. Can I have a second on the amendment?
I'll second it.
Okay,
I have a comment, Mr. Mayor.
yes, sir.
Till such time as you've discussed how much it costs, it's kind of a missing piece of the puzzle.
Okay,
No, but you gotta make a motion to discuss it.
yes.
Yeah, well, I know, but you'd already had
Yes.
that discussion and that still wasn't
Okay,
mentioned.
would you like to tell us how much it costs?
Yes, I would. Let me find it. It was in the treasurer's report. It was. Okay, so the reimbursed expense was $684.42 total. That includes the computer. It also includes stamps that I purchased and Microsoft Office. So I have to do math. It was $600.
Back when Robin was the clerk, many years ago, the town bought her a computer. I think the damn thing had a hand crank. But it cost $1,400.
I think that's still downstairs. I would like to
Yeah.
throw that away.
Yeah, it's really a complete boat anchor now, because that was probably 14 years ago, 15. It's a long time, and you have to figure a computer in dog years. So, are there any other questions from the board? Yes.
Did that include your QuickBooks?
No, QuickBooks was reimbursed at the last
Previous,
meeting.
okay.
Yeah, that was,
Sorry.
Okay, I have a motion and I have a second.
I guess the only thing I
Yes.
would ask is just, how does this affect the budget? I don't know, where does it come from? I'm not not saying I'm opposed to it, just trying to figure out, I mean, instead of just saying we're gonna do it, where is it gonna come
It will
from?
come from supplies.
I don't know if it's,
And
what is it considered? I mean, I absolutely think it's important to have, you can't have 2 people, possibly 3, who knows, in the future, operate off of 1 computer. And it slows things down if Sarah has to go track down Gayla, or what if it's not Gayla, what if
Well,
it's
no,
different people?
she's just gonna have
So
her own.
I know, I'm saying, but I think we need to do this. I mean, we need to purchase it, but it'd be nice to have an idea of where it's coming out of the budget.
We're running a deficit budget as it is. As near as I could go through the information.
that is
per-
probably true. It would
Okay.
come from supplies. The budget for supplies for 2016 was $350. So we've already exceeded that.
Then shouldn't there be a ordinance to exceed the budgetary amount so you can go from general fund? Much like we had to do 3 months ago for the election?
Or we have to take it out of capital. There's a capital, that's where we took Gayla's computer. But this will exhaust the capital account, I would think. And I agree with Jim. I think we gotta revise the whole budget.
At this point in time, there's no revising the budget. You've got to make ordinances to say that this is what we're doing.
Good.
But not having had the opportunity to be present at the last meeting, I would have opined at that point, and I will now, that purchasing things and then seeking reimbursement, and this is not a slight upon either Ms. Gibbs, it's something that can't be done in a small town, cannot. And I certainly appreciate the logic of having appropriate technological opportunities for the folks that work for the town, but I would submit that thereafter, it just can't be done.
I would also like to point out, we just approved the disbursements. And I know the amount is in the disbursements. I would really like to see the disbursements be things that are really approved. And if we want to do something in the town meeting and pay something this month that isn't in the disbursements, that we vote to do it, 1. And then 2, we can have a new approval of this additional disbursement. In other words, I've already approved to pay it, and we haven't voted. And I made the approval of the disbursement system. And I just would really like that process changed. Because we've done it 2 months in a row.
Well, I didn't catch it, but yeah, that should not have been in the disbursements for June if it was not approved.
Right, but if we wanted to pay her, it was important to pay her this month, or we decide that when we make the motion to approve the expenditure, we could also tag an immediate disbursement on it.
Okay.
And approve the disbursement of it.
Yeah, one of the things, since I was asked to comment upon whether or not someone's an employee or not, an employee is expected to use the equipment from the employer, but in terms of compensation, I guess that's an issue that was still out there a couple months ago anyway. Compensation for an independent contractor is historically higher based upon the fact that they're using their own equipment. If someone is not using their own equipment, then that necessarily should be reflected in compensation. I just, again, throw that out for your consideration.
So if we vote to approve this, do we then have to do some kind of budget ordinance? What do we have to do?
If you've got the money in the budget, then no. If you're going to make an expenditure that significantly exceeds the line item, then yes.
Well, I think we've exceeded the line item because under supplies.
Is that coming from because this is a statutory town, or because I'm working for the city of Gunnison and the town of Crested Butte, We didn't have to operate that way. We could expend more than what was in the budget. We had to go in front of council and say, this is what we need to do. But we didn't have to have an ordinance or a resolution to be able to do
My
that.
understanding is that the statute provides that when you're going to exceed the budget, you're supposed to provide notice to the public. It has a special notice element.
Per line item or per
I'm
the
talking
overall
about,
budget?
we're not talking the overall budget of X number of dollars. We're talking a area of the budget is no longer, you got to pay for it from somewhere.
Right.
And if there's no money in somewhere to pay for it,
Right.
then you've got to have an appropriation ordinance saying, this is what we're paying for it.
And generally, isn't there a definition as to over a certain amount becomes a capital item?
I don't believe so.
Or no?
Eddie.
No?
No, I don't believe so.
Well,
I know you
other
can't-
municipalities operate that way.
Well, you
They
can't,
have-
you can't expense computers. Okay? They have to, and they don't fall under section 179. You have to depreciate them. So it has to set as a piece of capital on our records.
Mhm.
And we need
Not
to
as
now
supplies.
start tracking some of these assets that we're buying. And I would really like that to be in place also somewhere.
Okay, so if we vote to approve this, then the attorney is suggesting that at the next meeting, we will have to come up with some kind of a budget amendment, budget ordinance.
Yes, Your Honor. Yes,
Okay.
Mr. Mayor.
So that's it, but we can do this, but we'll have to find the money at the next meeting. So are there any more comments on this? Okay, I've got a motion and I've got a second to purchase or to reimburse the clerk for the town computer, or what would be the town computer. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed?
Opposed.
Okay. Let's see, I have to do an ordinance.
Can I make a comment?
Tree thing.
I think we ought to get the budget straight before we spend the money. And that's why I
Well,
opposed it.
I kind of, by looking at the disbursements, I think we paid for it.
Well,
We can always void that check
you know,
today.
Yeah. Okay. All right, now let's see, okay. Yes,
Wouldn't it be illegal to approve money before it's even voted on, you can spend it? I mean, I think you guys are opening yourself up to illegal actions here.
would you like to comment?
You already
on that?
approved to spend the money, now you're voting to spend it again.
Would you like to comment on that, Jim?
Well, I think that Mr. Wick's comments that you shouldn't have elements of your disbursement schedule be there that haven't been voted on. I think you've got a little bit of a quandary there, and quite frankly, if I were on the board, I would make a motion to amend the vote on the disbursements under the treasurer's report to exclude that one specific item, but that's just me.
Okay, if you're suggesting that we should, then can we do that, or do we have to have that on the agenda for the next meeting? That'd be a little,
Well, it's on the agenda for this meeting.
yes, so we can
Yeah.
talk about it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay,
You
so-
already discussed the treasurer's report and you approved the
So we can
disbursements.
go back and do an
So,
amendment.
yeah, well, especially since Ms. Gibbs said that she's okay with it,
Okay,
right?
That's fine with me. Just the reason that it was probably my error. I probably should have pointed out that maybe we should talk about things in a different order rather than go through the disbursements and then talk about what the disbursements were. The checks just get printed once a month, so I printed
Yes.
them. We can always void the check if it needs to be put off until a further meeting. That's not a problem.
okay,
can I ask a question? Why are they only printed once a month?
That's just what Jerry told me.
Okay.
okay. I guess
I'm not
if,
sure why.
I
That's-
guess if I get a motion and I get a second, then we can go back and open up the June disbursements.
Does this motion go into this section?
Well, I don't have a
I'll put
motion.
it up here.
All right, I'll make a motion that we reopen the disbursements.
Okay,
For
I
reapproval.
have a motion. Do I have a second?
I second.
Okay, I got a second. Okay, now what we're talking about is apparently reopening the June disbursements and taking out the money for the computer. Any comments?
Is it really a June disbursement
Well,
or is it July?
You need to raise your hand to be
I'm
recognized.
sorry. I
Oh,
just-
okay,
Off the
Susie?
top of my head, I'm thinking, is it really a June disbursement or is it a July disbursement?
Well, it's with the June stuff, with the June disbursements. Okay? No comments?
Well, I would really like the money of the computer taken out of this disbursement,
Okay,
okay?
all right.
And then we then approve the disbursements without it. And then if we want to pay her, we make a special,
Yeah.
another motion to disperse the money immediately to her if
Okay.
we want to do that. Again, I'm going to say, I really would like us to sort out the budget because we got a hefty pay raise to our employee.
Yeah,
We got a lot of things we got to sort out.
okay.
Could I kind of piggyback onto that? Just obviously, kind of going through some growing pains here. It'd be nice. I kind of agree with Brad. At least get the budget sorted out. I'm not in opposition to paying for the town computer, but it'd be nice to have that sorted out before we say, yeah, we're going to buy this computer. We're going to buy this computer.
Well-
Neither of which we're in a budget or had
And
It'd just be nice to get that sorted out.
There was a mistake made putting that on the June list. And I didn't catch it and didn't know what it was, and apparently nobody else asked and it got passed. That was a mistake that we made. And we're talking about rectifying it now.
Right. Well, and I think it's important, it's bringing up the matter of the budget.
Okay,
And
because yes, we're
how
going
we
to,
manage the budget.
the budget is going to have to be revisited. Okay, any more comments on this? Yeah, if not, I will,
Well, I guess
Yes.
maybe since we opened up the treasurer's report and disbursements, how much of the other stuff on here, such as for Gunnison Gravel, was that pre-approved?
well, she's got a budget.
She does have a budget.
And it's in the budget.
Well within the
Okay,
budget.
and it's well within the budget?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. And all the others on there are the same way then?
Yes.
Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
And I would expect Sarah to tell us if we get invoices and we would exceed the budgeted amount. I would expect her to tell us that.
Everything else looks like it is within budget.
Okay,
Good.
okay, so we're ready to take a vote on taking the money for the computer out of the June disbursements. Okay, I've got a motion and I've got a second. All in favor,
Before
say,
you do that, I'm so sorry.
Okay.
I just noticed another mistake.
okay.
So at the bottom, under checks written, it says City Market Supplies 7951. That was for the food for the mayor's meeting.
Mm.
He took a blank check and wrote that. We did not need to write another check, so that was my mistake. I added that as a second, so that should not be approved, because that would be paying for it twice.
It was already
It was
approved.
already
was
approved.
approved
It was approved at last
Yeah.
meeting,
Yes.
and he's under budget with that check.
Okay, we're back to the June stuff. Okay, I've got a motion and I've got a second. All in favor of taking the computer out of the June disbursements, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay, we did that. Now, we're gonna do an ordinance at the next meeting that will we'll try to find the money to pay for it then.
Yeah.
Okay?
So, going back to this, I mean, we made a motion to, you know, under old business, once we got down to this, we made a motion to reimburse her.
Yes.
Do we need to amend that? I mean, we made a motion to reimburse her. It seems like we should amend that.
Well, I guess.
We made a motion to reimburse
Yes.
her, but now we're saying we need to discuss it at the August meeting and figure out how we're gonna actually pay for this.
Yes. What, Mr. Attorney, what do you?
I don't know if
feel?
somebody needs to make a motion to amend it for further discussion at the August meeting.
You want to do it? I'll second it.
Not really.
Okay, I'll make a motion.
That's like the longest motions here.
I will make a motion that we table the payment of Sarah Gibbs for a computer for the town clerk until the budget can be resolved at the next meeting.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second from Eddie. I think technically that's probably a correct move. I think that is technically correct. Any other comments on that? Then we can move on. Okay. All in favor of tabling the payment for the computer to the August meeting, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Discuss and vote on violations of state septic ordinance 43. Jim, are you prepared for that, or do we have to wait on that?
Well, a little bit of both. Yes, I'm prepared, but no, I wasn't really part of how we got there. I have the background information.
Okay.
And just so you know, I'm probably going to have to take a little walk out. I'm starting to have some real stomach issues. So
Okay, that would be
get some air at some
acceptable.
point.
Brad, did you want to?
The question I have here is, as I look at the businesses in town, I can see how some absolutely do not cause any issues with Regulation 43. But I'm having some issue with understanding how the short-term rentals with no occupancy limits seems to, I feel, cause the town not to support the state's ordinance.
And you're saying that under a change of use?
Well, yes.
Okay.
Yes, I mean, if a person had a 4-bedroom house and the septic was designed for 7 people,
Yeah.
and he wanted to add 3 rooms on it to make it a 10-person house, then we'd have to have a reassessment and a redesign of the septic. But if I increase the occupancy to 3 per room, we don't seem to have that same requirement.
Well, I think that the subject of short-term rentals in residential specifically needs to be specifically addressed. And language concerning septics needs to be put in it, don't you?
Yeah, I agree, but that makes no difference whether it's in residential or not.
Well, yeah, well, I would.
We've
that
got
would
a, we've got,
Yes,
the septic is a different subject.
yes.
Period. Is a different subject. It's not tied to zoning, it's tied to the town's commitment to the state to enforce their
That
rules.
is, yes, that is correct. And I would like to give the attorney possibly more time to read this over.
Well, I've read it, and I can provide you a couple of comments.
Okay.
One, if there's a change in use under the town's ordinance, it needs to be supported by a certification by a licensed color engineer that such change of use can be supported by the existing OWTS. It's pretty black and white. The question is what's a change of use, and have there been any changes of use? other things that the board needs to be aware of. One, reading on page 17 of Regulation 43, and I apologize, I can't give you the specific site because there's a lot of different numbers and letters and stuff. But it says in the event that a local board of health fails to administer and enforce the provisions of said section and the regulations adopted under the OWTS Act, the division may assume such functions of the local public health agency or local board of health as may be necessary to protect the public. So, long story long, if there's a problem and the local board of health, which is you all, doesn't act, then the state can jump in and say, okay, we're going to take over. Another issue is ultimately, if there's a problem where the Board of Health and the health officer, which is defined as, I believe, the executive officer of the local board, forgive me, I've got to flip back to that
Would that be
page.
the town's sanitarian?
It's the executive, it means the chief administrative and executive officer of a local public health agency or the appointed health officer of the local board of health. Health officer includes a director of the local public health agency.
What page was that, Jim?
That's on page 6. That's definition 62. If that
Reg
person makes a
62.
determination, what's that?
You said Reg 62.
No, I said Reg 43, definition 62.
Page 6.
Page 6. So if the health officer makes a determination that there's a violation, then they can provide notice for a hearing. At the hearing, they say this is what the problem is. The other party has the opportunity to say, well, that's not a problem, here's why. And ultimately, the Board of Health says, okay, there is or there is not a problem. If there is a problem, then they can issue a cease and desist order, which allows a reasonable time period. Reasonable is defined by statute. I forget the statute, it's like 25-10-107. Not to exceed 30 days thereafter, but ultimately the health officer makes a determination that there's a problem, provides notice, then there's a hearing scheduled no less than 2 days thereafter. At the hearing, the Board of Trustees, acting as the local Board of Health, makes a determination and goes from there.
So the first thing that happens to happen, if I understand this, is the town sanitarian would have to look at this, right? Is that correct?
No.
Who would look at it?
Until such
then?
time as the Board of Health, the local Board of Health has made the determination that the town sanitarian is the person acting in this capacity, which I don't believe you've done, then it would be the Board of Health and or its executive, which would be you.
Okay. So the Board of Health is this town board?
That's correct.
Okay.
And if there's a problem, I'm not suggesting that there is, because I don't know. But if there is a problem and the town board does not act in its role as the local Board of Health, then the state Board of Health may intervene. Not suggesting that they will, because I have no experience with their willingness to intervene. I'm merely trying to explain some of the nuances of the Reg 43 and our local ordinance.
And I think it's important that it says may.
Absolutely,
May.
it's permissive. It's not obligatory, it's not mandatory.
It's not a given.
And could the town board vote to bring in outside opinions, like from an engineer?
Mr. Mayor, I don't understand your question.
Well, I mean, the town board has to decide if there is a violation. Does the town board have the right or ability to consult with an engineer first? I mean, we're not engineers.
If the town board, if the Board of Health the local Board of Health made that determination, they could do that if they deemed it necessary and appropriate.
Eddie?
when you say consultant engineer, a lot of times engineers aren't actually qualified to
Okay.
make determinations about the operation side
Uh-huh.
of a septic system.
Okay.
They're qualified typically to make the design, but not necessarily the inspection thereof. There are certified inspectors
Okay.
to do that type of work.
Okay.
Some engineers are certified to do that, but not all engineers.
Well, then I could change that to certified in inspectors.
Inspector.
What is your recommendation?
Take a look, Mr. Mayor.
Okay.
As far as recommendations.
Yes, do you think we should do that, or should we all just vote on it right here?
Vote on, I guess I'm not clear on what you're asking, Steve, sorry.
Well,
Well, the question, should the town or this health board take a look at the septics of the businesses operating as short-term rentals?
Gayla, did you want to?
Well, not to open a can of worms, but Colorado and Gunnison County do not define short-term rental as a business. It is a residential use of a residential property. It is not a change of use that's been ruled on in court, that's been held up in appeals court in the state of Colorado and other states. So I don't exactly understand.
What the issue is
septics operating at capacities beyond their design.
But
Then we should clarify,
Right.
it's not about short-term rentals.
Well,
If you're gonna talk about
I looked
violations
at,
of state septic ordinance, this is not a
Okay.
short-term rental or not.
you look at my business. I'm a consulting engineer, 2 employees, did not overstress my 2 septic systems. But the business activity of short-term rentals that put more people in a residential house than what the septic was designed for, I think is a problem.
No, but I
Well, I
think
guess,
we need to
I
look at
guess,
this at a
to
broader
me,
scope.
one of the concerns we have here is we're talking about, to me, it goes back to a nuisance complaint. What someone is making an allegation that there are more people using a property than what it was designed for. That's an allegation. Okay, there needs to be, if there's truly a problem, there needs to be some facts.
Exactly.
The fact is not observation of 10 people going in and out of a building. Because if I observe somebody visiting somebody has a family reunion and they have 10 people going in and out,
But if
does that mean they're
property-
residing there?
the question I have is some properties are advertised at occupancy capacities. We discussed last year about establishing an occupancy capacity, and it seems to have gotten lost.
Okay, so it was never established.
It was never established. I think it's a good thing to go do.
Chris?
Can you tell me which facilities are advertising occupancy rates higher than?
Well, I believe there are a number that are advertised with no occupancy capacities. And some are advertised with evident occupant capacities. And I think every short-term rental ought to have an occupancy limit that's tied to the septic. And it should be advertised as such.
Okay. So that's an opinion, that this is that's an opinion, that's something that the board should consider.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Because I believe if we as a board ignore it, then we are in violation of Reg 43.
Brad, and what I've been saying the whole time is why not look at this at a broader scope? What if somebody moves here, buys a 3-bedroom house, and has 8 kids? Are they not violating the septic ordinance by overuse?
Yes, they are.
So that's why I'm saying, why do you, I'm just having a problem why you keep going back to short-term rentals. This needs to be a broad scope thing.
Because
how do you
it
handle the
appears
violation of septics?
it appears to my constituency that the short-term rentals is a problem. I also think it's a problem if someone buys a house in town and doesn't understand the capacity of the septic.
Yeah, and what I'm getting at is, we're talking about violations of the state septic ordinance.
Yeah.
How are we gonna handle that? And it just needs, I mean, I don't know why this has become a discussion about septics on short-term rentals, what I'm getting at. That's not what's on here, that's not the
If
the
we're
larger
talking
issue.
about operating as the public health agency,
Yes.
it doesn't say anything in there specific to short-term rentals.
No, it
So,
doesn't.
and I think that's the point that Corey's trying to make, is
I
that
don't-
we need to look at this as from the broad spectrum and say, you know what? If you're purchasing a house, you should be informed that the septic system is designed or was designed for X number of bedrooms. That's the design criteria. With, there again, depending on looking at it, 2 people per bedroom.
Agreed.
So let's look at the broad scope of it and say, you know what? Let's look at septic systems. If we're truly concerned about the health, is let's look at all of them, not just.
I have no problem looking at all of them. The ones that are obvious are the some that I've mentioned.
Okay. And I guess that's the point I was trying to make, is that's an observation of some people looking at somebody else's house or whatever, watching how many people go in and out. Is there any record of how many people are actually renting the place, or?
We have no requirements on short-term
Right.
rentals, do we? Because
Doesn't-
we
it doesn't-
elected
we
not
don't-
to talk about it.
It doesn't appear that we have any requirements.
Right.
But there is
So-
a requirement to comport with the state septic systems.
Right.
So if there's a complaint or an observation of an inordinate amount of persons at any residence, then that might be the basis for a complaint. My
Right.
comments
And-
don't relate to short-term rentals. My
And I
comments
think
relate to any residence.
when you point to Reg 43, you need to make sure it's the design criteria. It doesn't say operational. It says the design criteria.
Well, you also have to look at the ordinance that was enacted by the town of Pitkin, which makes specific reference to certification requirement for change of use. So, and again, I'm not
Right.
pointing at any segment of the business population. I'm just saying that's what the ordinance says.
And part of what this board has got to decide is it contrary to other parts of what Gayla mentioned that has been brought up, is it truly a change of use?
Well,
I don't.
Residential, under, go ahead.
Yeah. I don't know what Glayla was referencing, but it appears to me that that has more to do with zoning and in the operation of a house, you know, as a short-term lodging. The change of use in the septic is a change of, how should we say, waste going into the septic system. And that change of use is not tied to zoning.
If it's 6 people living there, or it's 6 people renting it short-term, is there any difference to the septic system?
No, there is no difference, but if there's 10 in there, that's a problem.
Right.
You agree?
Yes.
But
Well, let me rephrase that. It's potential to be a problem because we don't know that, unless you know the design criteria of the septic system that you're talking about, you can make an opinion saying, you know what, there's 10 people in that house, the septic system can't handle it. But unless you know what the actual septic system is, the size of it, the design of it, etc., you're making an assumption that because there's 10 people there, that it's out of compliance.
And I believe that some of the operations of these septics, they don't even know.
But if you were to go after somebody in a short-term rental for having too many people, then if their neighbors had a had a bunch of family in, could they not also be gone, you know? Are they
Well,
in trouble?
If you had people for a short amount of time,
Yeah.
you could do things that would lighten the load on your septic. And if you felt like you were approaching the limit of your septic, you could take your laundry to town. You could do things to assure that you're not abusing your septic system. And I just don't see that with people who aren't used to living with it every day.
Well, wait a second.
I guess
We have a guy that's been, he's probably had his hand up for like 5 minutes, 10 minutes.
If the septic system is working, does it matter if there's 100 people there or if there's 5? If it's working properly and you're testing them, Galen knows which houses he's talking about. Are they working?
Well, we don't really know
There's-
for sure.
there's a hydraulic,
No.
there's a design capacity. There's a hydraulic capacity. If two people live in a house and they go on vacation and they come back and they decide to run 10 loads of laundry, they could be overloading the septic system. Just like you could have a home with, all of a sudden there's 10 people in it that could overload the septic system. So just because there's 10 people in there doesn't necessarily mean that it's overloading. And just because you have two people in there doesn't mean that you're not overloading. And
Oh,
Brad's
I'm
right.
just-
Part of it is taking personal responsibility on operating, and that's why they've changed the name of it to on-site wastewater treatment systems. Because it's a treatment system. You're supposed to maintain it. You're supposed to try to take care of it. So you can't say just because there's 2 people in there, it's not overloaded, and 10 people, it is overloaded. And that's the point I'm trying to make. One of the things that we could talk about and look at doing is metering. If there's a concern about the hydraulic capacity of a septic system, whether it's short-term rental or anybody else's, if it's somebody that moves in and all of a sudden they have 10 people living in the house, we could talk about, let's look at metering if there's a concern. Then you know how much water, you know how much hydraulic.
Then why is it the responsibility of the person operating the business to do that?
Why isn't it?
Why isn't it?
Burden of.
Okay, what I'm saying is the burden of proof is not upon this board to prove that this activity is beyond the capacity of the septic. What I'm asking is, if you want to do this activity, come to this board and tell me how it complies and doesn't make us violate 43.
Hang on. Gary?
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, I'm one of the inspectors, and it's amazing how little we know about the septic systems in the town of Pitkin, Colorado. The owners don't know where their leach fields are. Some of them we have to really work with to find the septic tank itself. We rarely find one that we would consider overutilized. Our septic systems are working, and I don't understand, I do have some education in hydraulics, but we have no way of measuring that. We measure whether the tank needs pumping or not. And I'd like to pass out the history of our work to you, if you would not read it tonight, but sometime just pass it around. I won't read the document, but I think we're working with, as a mediator, I would suggest that you're using the septic issue as a whipping boy for other issues. I don't think the septic systems in this town are a problem. There are a few that are a problem, but we've solved almost all of those. So I think this is not a real issue for you.
Thank you, Gary. Okay,
I appreciate the public fervor, but just because someone speaks in the way you like and clapping, it creates a divisive environment. The idea is that there's supposed to be the free exchange of ideas without clapping or hissing if you like or dislike the person. Just FYI.
Win?
Well, I just wanted to say that as a member of the short-term rental commission that we had last year, we had our, I don't know who the man was, that came in and explained the entire septic system to us. And also said at that time that what we check for does not really give them that much information on the value of how that septic system is working.
Okay, thank you. Jesse?
724 State Street is under terrific observation. So I would like it observed between 9 a.m. and 8 p.m. and see just how much that septic system is being used. They're in the forest.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. Candy?
Gala reported that there were a couple of systems that were not working properly. Are those short-term rentals?
No.
So how do we address, none of the septic systems seem to be having a problem that are considered short-term rentals, but the ones that are having problems are non-short-term rental. I rest my case.
Okay.
But I'd like to bring up real quick, we're just kind of talking in circles
Yeah.
here. We're not
Yeah.
accomplishing anything.
I understand that.
What's the main point that we're trying to get through here on this item?
Well,
Is this are we trying to define how we handle septic violations in general?
Well,
or is this related to a specific property? Where is this, I mean, what is our goal for tonight for this item?
well, the kind of the main issue of this is, are short-term rentals a change of use, and are they in violation of 43? And Jim might have to have more chance to read over it. Or have you already ruled? Do you think it is a change, or do you think
I
it?
don't think that you should be addressing short-term rentals.
I was
I
gonna
think
say,
you
that's
should
not
be
what this
addressing
says.
violations of the
Well,
ordinance.
that would go down to, we'd have to check everybody in town then.
Well, get started.
And start counting how many people are in everybody's house. Until the attorney, says that this is some kind of illegal act, but if he says we're not in violation, or that these group of people, there are no violations of 43, we would have to look at every house in this town and look at every septic and count how many people are staying in every house. And I don't think I'm ready to do that. Chris?
Steve, I don't know who requested this to be an agenda item, but there wasn't ever even a motion made.
Well, no, we have Brad.
Yeah,
Brad
so I
asked
don't-
me to put it on.
That's what I'm saying, I don't know what we're making, we're discussing an open-ended topic here. There's
Yes.
not an end goal to this. If it's
Well-
about short-term rentals, then that's how it should read. If it's about a specific property, it should read that way. Otherwise, I think if there's
Well-
violations that the environmental health clerk identifies, then we handle them. So it appears that that's what we're doing. She's been in discussion with property owners. So at this point, unless you have facts about a violation or the environmental health clerk has identified something, where are we going with this?
I think
Where this goes is there needs to be an occupancy limit on properties that, how should I say? When I rented a short-term rental, I wanted to put as many people as I could in that rental the time I was there. And I'm sure you folks have the same issue. And what I'm saying is, I don't see where any of them have substantiated an occupancy limit that is tied to their septic capacity.
Well, I think what we ought to do is table this till somebody comes back and tells me that they want to discuss the violation of a specific property. We can't discuss the violation of every property in town.
Agreed.
I mean, I think at this point, the environmental health clerk is working through issues or violations or,
Yes.
people that are overdue on inspections. So, I mean, unless we have something specific, we're talking about an open-ended topic, we're going in circles, we're not accomplishing anything.
Okay, I had one, Rand.
One thing I wanna, with what Eddie said, 2 people can overload a septic, less than 10 people. The way the septic's designed is it holds so many gallons per person for so many hours before it goes into the leach field, is the design of a septic system. If you get to Mr. Winget, their inspection's great for the septic tank. They don't know if it even has a leach field. I talked to Bob Williams about it, he goes, that inspection's great, but it doesn't tell you if the leach field's working. And the leach field's just as important as the septic tank. So just because you look at a tank and say it's not full of sludge, doesn't say that the leach field even works. We had one in town that literally went 5 feet and the pipe was broke off. It never even got in the leach field.
I think you got a point, well taken. And at the next meeting, if we come back with specific properties, because I don't think the way this is worded, we can't talk about the whole town. Ramon, one more quick comment, and then we got to move on.
Well, Mr. Mayor, I gave you a letter 5
Yes.
days ago regarding a specific property, 724 State Street. And
Excuse
you know,
me.
you're sitting here saying
Ramon,
until
just
we
1
get
second.
something.
You guys can't catcall and jeer just because somebody else is speaking and then you don't like what he's having to say. Mr. Reed is entitled to the same respect that every single one of us would hope we are comported. So please, respect the speaker.
And I'm hearing until you have something about a specific property, well, you can't take any action, so you're not gonna do anything tonight. What did I give you? And
Well,
why can't that be
this is-
discussed and acted on if necessary?
Then this is my fault for not putting it on the agenda correctly. That's about all I can say. It's my
What's
fault.
incorrect? I mean, it's as I stated in my letter, it's a violation of the ordinance. So,
Well-
and that's what's on the agenda, isn't it?
Well, I guess I could ask the attorney if this would be included.
Okay. We're talking about 724. Is that, Jesse, is that yours? I'm going to say 724 Mission to Mars Street. It doesn't matter to me whose it is. I think that they should get specific notice that they're going to have a hearing with regards to the local Board of Health on a specific issue. I don't think that an agenda item is that same type of a notice. So, no, I don't think you can address it at this meeting, Mr. Mayor.
Okay. We will, at the next meeting, I will try to have it on there properly. That's about all I can say. Circumstances came up and things happened that we could not meet, and this was my fault. I'll get it straightened out on the next meeting. Okay. So we don't have to vote because we didn't have a motion or a second. It will have to be on the agenda better at the next meeting. Okay. Moving down.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
Excuse me, before you move on, Mr. Lennon Berker has had his hand up for a long, long time.
Well, okay, make it short, please.
It'll be short. I have spoken with several people that are residents of this town quite some time back. I hope they're reliable, but they said to me that there are several septics in this town that are 55-gallon barrels. Are they truthful or are they liars?
Well, when you come back with specifics, we will talk about it. Gary, please make it quick.
That's a true statement. We have caught those. They have been replaced.
Okay, thank you. Okay, we're done with septics. We're going to move on. This is to discuss and vote on adding Lois Sharpton and Marie Rossmiller to the cemetery board.
I make a motion to add Lois Sharpton and Marie Rossmiller to the cemetery board.
Thank you. Have a motion. Have a second. These were two people that are well-known and willing to volunteer. Sounds good to me.
Yeah. Yeah, I assume that's the 2 vacancies that are available.
Okay.
Yeah.
Any other comments? Okay.
Nope, thanks for volunteering.
Okay, yes, thank you very much.
You have to have a vote anyway.
Yes. All in favor of adding Lois Sharpton and Marie Rossmiller to the cemetery board, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, we did that. Now, discuss and vote whether the town is willing to buy back cemetery plots. Yes, I have had a request.
I'll make a motion that we discuss this.
Okay, got a motion?
Second.
Got a second. Okay, what is the board's thoughts on this? This is somebody who bought plots and moved away.
It's my understanding that when you buy a plot in the cemetery, you're not taking ownership of the land. Now, if we would like to give these people their money back, we can, and resell the lot, because we still own
Yes,
the
we do.
property.
Uh-huh.
It isn't that they bought it and now we're buying the property back. So this is just if we decide we want to refund the money.
That's right.
Now, in some towns where you get old plots and people didn't use them, there's a process to go through to reclaim them, and the town could just reclaim them, take them back, and then resell them. And I don't know the name of the process, but I went through it one time. And
But I guess the question here is, do we want to refund this person's money for 2 plots?
Is there, just for my education, is there some kind of governing document that the cemetery board has? I don't even know what the plots cost. $50, so we're looking at $100.
Yeah, we're looking at $100.
you know,
I don't want to be this guy, but we've already had a budget issue today.
Yeah.
Do we have? I just don't understand. I mean, I don't.
And if there are rules.
Looking
there
at
are rules in
initial
place.
look, I don't see a problem with it, but I want to educate myself on it before. I mean, is there a governing document that we can read? Say, oh yeah, this is fine, and then
Is Cindy still in charge of that stuff?
no.
Who's the person? Is it
Jared.
Jared?
There are very few, I'm very new on the board.
Well, let me ask both of you. How many sales have there been of plots in the last 10 years?
Less than 20.
15,
Yeah, less than
15,
20.
16 in the last 10 years. And we have a budget. The cemetery has a budget. It may have $100, and that would take care of the budget.
This next question is to both of you. Is there a policy when you sell it that you say, okay, if you want to sell it back to us, we'll buy it back for 50%?
No.
Because it's a pain in the neck?
There's really nothing in the bylaws. In fact, the cemetery has very few bylaws.
Okay. Rand?
Well, I think to the board, it wouldn't hurt to refund their money because it's the first time it's ever come up. Then make up a rule for it.
Yeah, well.
Right now, we have no rules or anything about it, and you could say if you want to sell back 50%, you can, but right now you can't, so. And I think it'd be more hassle to repossess their rights than it would be just to refund the $50.
As long as the cemetery board has the money in their budget, I don't have a problem.
There is $100 in the cemetery.
Okay.
You know, in the bylaws, can you sell your plot to somebody else?
Oh, yes, that, actually, they've been given away.
Okay, but
Some
you could
people
give it
have
or
given
sell it,
them.
either one. So
Probably.
if they can sell it, then maybe that's the avenue, instead of the town repurchasing it, is to let them say, you know what, if you don't want it anymore, you can sell it.
Jared?
Eddie, now this is my opinion. I think it's much better for the town to keep track our cemetery, you know, it's very unusual. People buried on top of each other because they were very, and this is in the way past. But the board has much more control over where those spaces are, who is buried there. And as with the records, we really, it's just so important, I think, to keep track of those spaces. So when you get into the deal of people giving away,
So maybe the bylaws, maybe when we're talking about this, and as Rand mentioned, if we do it this time, to look at the bylaws and maybe something even as simple as giving it to someone else, if that creates a problem for tracking and et cetera, maybe we should consider that.
The big thing is to keep track, I think.
Right, and it's written on the receipt when someone gives it away to someone else who needs it. And also their name would be taken off the map and changed. So the other person wouldn't even appear anymore.
If they did that through
the
the board.
cemetery, and yes, not a person
Not a
asking to sell
handshake.
it to
Right.
someone else.
Okay.
No, that would really hurt us.
Anybody else on the board want to
I
weigh
guess
in?
I would ask you, is it gonna create any issue for the cemetery board? That'd be I don't see a problem with doing it this once. It's kind of highlighted an issue maybe we should address, at a future point, but I don't see a problem. I just want to make sure it's not going to create some undue hassle for the cemetery board to handle. And I appreciate Bill weighing in on it.
Well, Jared, this isn't gonna harm the cemetery board in any way if they have to refund the $100, is it?
Not if if the funds are available.
Well, the cemetery is supposed to bring the town $100 of income. And if we refund these 2 lots, they're gonna bring us none. And I'm okay with that.
As long as the cemetery board currently has the money, which they do, right?
Well, they're supposed to bring us $100
Okay,
as income.
okay.
And if
Well, they still might yet sell some
well, they
lots.
still might get sales
Yeah.
to
I
offset.
will be. I'm in the process now, when the lady comes to town. I think she just wants one lot, one space though.
So that's 50.
That's down to 50.
Jesse?
If I want to buy 2 lots, where does my $100 go?
To the town.
To the town.
Yeah.
Give it to the town clerk.
I guess it goes it goes to the town treasury, town coffers.
Mr. Mayor, may
Yes.
I make a suggestion that the
Yes.
town reimburse this woman that needs the $100, please?
Thank you, Jesse. Rachel?
I was going to make the comment that if we don't have policy on repurchasing, we could offer to buy them back at half cost. Is there any reason we have to pay full price or refund full price if there's no existing, or is that just cheap?
It's okay to be cheap. Cheap is good.
I think at this point, just let's do it kind of in good faith. And
I think
I
we,
will. I would like to amend my motion to refund one time to this person the $100 for 2 lots and have the cemetery board establish a buybacks policy.
I think that's a good idea.
I'll second it.
Okay. Any other comments on this motion? Okay, I've got a motion and I've got a second. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay, thank you, Brad. I think that was a good compromise. Okay, discuss and vote on town vacancies. Chris, you mentioned
Well,
that.
prior to making a motion on this, could I ask one question?
Sure.
I think Brad's the only zoning board member that's here tonight. Am I correct? Is there a vacancy?
Yeah, there is a vacancy.
Okay. Well, then I would make a motion that we post and attempt to fill current vacancies in town positions, that being the town clerk pro tem, assistant building inspector, and the zoning board member.
Okay, I do have a posting up for a zoning board member. I have not been exactly buried in applicants. That's the hardest job to fill is zoning
Well,
board.
I just feel we should at
Yes.
least make an attempt.
Yes, I do have a posting up there. I'm stating it here at a town meeting.
Can we second the
Second your
motion?
motion.
Okay. Okay, we got a second. Sorry.
All right.
Okay. And any other jobs that need to be filled, I will be sure and post them. But the last time I posted a zoning board member or a request for a zoning board member, it languished for a year. And I'm mentioning it at a town meeting. Susie?
I didn't see your posting, but I've been wanting to be back on the zoning board for a long time.
Well, can we
Give people time.
Can we vote on that, or?
Well, you can't really address it, Mr. Mayor. You've got a pending motion that's been moved and seconded.
I just thought I'd
That's
mention
right.
that so you know before I write your letter.
Okay. And this motion was to post the
Post
vacancies.
and attempt to fill the vacancies of clerk pro tem,
Yeah,
assistant building inspector, and zoning board member.
okay. Rand,
I never known there ever to be an assistant building inspector.
I thought we had one a
I
long
just
time
got
ago.
a zoning board member,
Yeah.
if I was gonna be out of town or something to do it.
Okay, I think that's completely reasonable.
Good.
Okay, I've got, any other comments? Okay, got a motion, got a second to post and attempt to fill these jobs. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, now, we have a volunteer for the zoning board. Can we vote on it, or does that doesn't fall
I think
under
we
that?
need to post it. Well, that's what we just voted on.
It is posted.
It
It
is
is posted.
posted?
Yes, it
Okay.
is. But if we have to wait a month,
It'd be best, Mr. Mayor.
okay, we will put that on there for the next meeting. Okay, and now, let's see. Okay, we are down to discuss and vote on Citizen of the Year. And I have several, this is kind of a banner year. And, I'll just pick the one that's laying here on top. Candy, would you like to read yours?
Let me get it from you.
Oh, okay. What's that? Okay, she said that, Sarah said that she'd read it. And you had one on there.
I do, it's right here.
Oh, that's right, I got it messed up.
I have 5. Any more?
Steve, did you get the one I gave you?
Yes, I think it's in there. I think it's in there.
Yes. The following is a nomination letter for Pitkin Citizen of the Year. How did I choose this candidate for Citizen of the Year? By looking around for a silent hero whose purpose is to help others. This individual has proven to be concerned with the future of this community since 1954. I watched him help a young girl that he had just met with her math homework while on her spring break vacation. He was determined to make our community a better place to live in by helping its future citizens. He has been a special part of the Pitkin Community Church for many years and is a servant of Christ in all that he does. In addition to his passion for educating children in his church, he has been involved with the PHCA Pancake Breakfast fundraisers for many years as a pancake flipper. He absolutely loves this town and the mountains. He enjoys hiking the area 14ers, biking throughout the Quartz Creek Valley, and taking some of the most spectacular photographs of the wildlife here. He has written a number of hiking instructions for others to enjoy and shared them on the PitkinColorado.com website. He has spent many hours talking with visitors on the porch of the Silver Plume about the area and his adventures, as well as some of the history of Pitkin. He is a wonderful ambassador for Pitkin. Lastly, he has one of the best groomed yards in Pitkin. Do I need to keep reading? It is with great admiration of Glenn Kirkendall that I recommend him for Citizen of the Year. And this is from Candy Nasso.
Okay.
Okay. Dear Honorable Mayor and Trustees, I would like to nominate Lisa Stonequist to be the 2015 Citizen of the Year due to her hard work and innovation as Streets Commissioner for the town of Pitkin. Lisa has spent a lot of time taking care of Pitkin's packed dirt roads, filling potholes, and resurfacing some of the streets where needed. In addition to long hours of hard work, Lisa found unique composite that she could put on the roads, which, when it got wet and then was driven on, compacted very evenly and seemed to absorb moisture, and then did not turn into soft mud during mud season. She used this composite on Quartz Lane between 1st and 2nd Streets, and also on 2nd Street between Quartz Lane and State Street, and this spring the mud was not nearly as sloppy as in the past, and it dried up more quickly than some other areas in town. Sincerely, Susie Metzler. I would like to nominate Lisa Stonequist as Pitkin's 2015 Person of the Year. She did a great job maintaining the streets as a volunteer and maintained a good working relationship with Sean at the county. She also arranged mag chloride directly from the supplier, which gave us dust-free streets during the busiest months, and earlier than the county would have provided. In December, she made and placed wonderful Christmas wreaths throughout town. She worked hard and deserves this honor. Thank you. Cindy Wick. I'd like to nominate Jody Wise for Pitkin's Citizen of the Year Award. Jody served as town clerk and treasurer for parts of 2015. During this time, she demonstrated professionalism by completing tasks thoroughly, keeping accurate records, and taking steps to ensure that she was following applicable rules and regulations set forth by the town and also the state of Colorado. During the weeks leading up to and on the day of the election, Jody was increasingly busy but continued to maintain a high level of professionalism on top of having a full-time job. Jody continues to serve the town of Pitkin by assisting the town clerk/treasurer with many questions relating to the position. Because of Jody's continued dedication to the well-being of Pitkin and her willingness to help, I believe she is a candidate worthy of Pitkin's Citizen of the Year Award. That was me who nominated Jody. I would like to nominate Chris Nasso as 2016 Citizen of the Year for Pitkin. As owner of the Silver Plume, Chris has gone above and beyond to help residents and visitors in the town of Pitkin. He's been a major contributor to the PHCA, QCIA, Pitkin Volunteer Fire Department, Pitkin Church, and also the Pitkin Playground. Chris also organized the benefit for the City Hall. He has organized fish fries and street dances to bring the community together. Giving of his own time and resources, he has pulled many vehicles out of ditches and snowdrifts. Chris was also a liaison for the community during the recent Rosebud Forest Fire. His dissemination of information regarding the forest fire kept the community informed and calm. Chris is the greatest ambassador and promoter for the town of Pitkin. This is unsigned.
Unsigned?
Oh, one last. Mr. Mayor, I would like to nominate Chris Nasso as Citizen of the Year for Pitkin. Please let me know. Yes, now is the proper time. And that's Gail again.
That was the previous.
Oh, okay.
That was my signature
Okay,
on the
okay.
previous.
It got split into two
Okay,
pieces.
so
So
that
that
was
letter
one.
I just read was signed Gail again.
Okay. All right, we usually only have like one or two people. Now we got 5. I guess we probably gonna have to do a vote. We usually do a secret ballot, or we can just hold up hands. Yes.
The new council needs to understand that we always vote for the Person of the Year for the previous year, for 2015.
Yeah, this is
For the
2015.
entire year.
Yes.
And some comments sounded like they might have been this year or whatever, but it's always, like next year, you'll be voting on the one for 2016.
That is correct. Okay. Is everybody okay with holding up their hand instead of doing a secret ballot? I mean, we'll have to do them one at a time, I guess.
Why don't we do a secret ballot?
Typically, Title 24 frowns upon secret ballots, but I would submit that in this context, it's appropriate.
Thank you.
How about tearing up some pieces of paper?
All right.
And we may have to do this, we may have to have a runoff.
So were there 3 candidates, Mr. Mayor?
The candidates were Chris Nasso, Lisa Stonequist, Jody Wise, and Glenn Kirkman.
So 4.
4. There might have to be a runoff.
We'll just do.
So, Sarah,
Yes.
after you hand those out, would you just read the list of candidates?
So once again, the nominees for Pitkin, excuse me, Citizen of the Year, Chris Nasso, Lisa Stonequist, Jody Wise, Glenn Kirkendall.
that,
Am I looking at these to tally?
I guess you tally them up as they come down.
Vote tallier.
Two more. I just pile them up.
We have a winner.
Okay. If I could read it? Oh, okay, yeah. The winner is Glenn Kirkendall. I will adjourn the meeting at 9:25.